Securities Commission will be holding a roundtable on mutual fund fees tomorrow. One of the key issues is how financial advisors should be compensated. Here to talk more about this is Greg Pollock, President and CEO of Advocis. That's a representative body for Canadian financial advisors. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Randy.
You had an opinion piece put out today in which you suggested that embedded fees, what some people call hidden fees, which is the portion of a management fee of a fund that goes back to the advisor, is actually the appropriate way for advisors to get compensated. That is, I would say, a controversial position amongst many people. So why don't you start by explaining why you think that's the proper way?
So first of all, let me explain that we believe there should be choice in the way financial advisors are compensated by their clients. So it's not a one-size-fits-all model, if you want. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the value of financial advice that brings to the consumer, that brings to the client. Recent study out of the Serrano Research Institute in Montreal, where it demonstrates that financial advice from a financial advisor will increase wealth 2 to 3 times over a period of about 10 to 15 years. So clearly, Canadians need financial advice. Recent experience in the UK, when they have removed embedded compensation from financial products, is a huge loss in the amount of financial advice. This means that Canadians will be less wealthy over time.
So let's put that on the table. The change in the UK that you're referencing happened January 1st, 2013. So it's perhaps a little early to start suggesting that we can draw conclusions from what's going on there. But why is the fact that this seems to be the only industry that hides the actual fees that it charges its clients okay? And what I mean by that is, if a client isn't willing to pay what now is about 1% on average in a trailer fee outright to an advisor, just send me the invoice, take it out of my account, we'll be good that way, why do you think they would be willing to pay it as an embedded or hidden fee? And then even if you gave them choice, the problem that a lot of people have with that is that advisors are getting compensated by the products they are selling, and they might not be the best products for the people that they are servicing.
Okay, there was a lot in that.
Yeah, there was a lot. We don't got a lot of time, so I got to get them all out there.
All right, well, let's just say that, again, I go back to the fact that the UK experience, and yes, it's recent, no doubt, but Deloitte has already done a study in that small period of time that is demonstrating there is a loss in the amount of financial advice that's going to people in the UK. They're estimating 5.5 million UK consumers will be without financial advice under that system. That would be a loss of 3 million in Canada. So this is something that we have to look at very seriously. We believe in the value of advice for consumers, but we also believe in disclosure and transparency. So the Canadian Securities Administrators recently, and the OSC is part of that, have put in place a new client relationship model which will call for full disclosure of fees, a dollar amount each year that the client will be advised on. So I think that will address the kind of issue that you've raised.
So, Greg, does that mean, though, so if there's an embedded fee, but there's increased disclosure, I'm just curious, is that increased disclosure associated with that product, or is it a separate document they have to also keep track of?
No, it's an annual statement that they will receive that will say what was their investment worth last year, what's their investment worth this year, and how much fee did they pay to their advisor in a dollar amount in the last year. So it'll be very, very clear. And, you know, I think, again, there are different models out there. So if I'm not satisfied as a customer, if you want, in that kind of circumstance, then I might move to someone who has an assets under management type of structure, or an hourly structure with respect to advice. There are different models, and they're all accessible and available to the Canadian public.
Is there not a path taken which should suggest that an advisor should take a fiduciary duty, a fiduciary obligation and responsibility to their clients, at which point they have to legally put the best interest of their client forward, and essentially would be disallowed from substituting a product that compensated them a higher fee for one that gave them a lower trailer fee if it would do a similar job? Yes. Is Advocis in favor of fiduciary obligation?
We're not in favor of a statutory fiduciary obligation.
Why is that?
We're in favor of a common law fiduciary duty, which is the current duty that exists. Our Code of Professional Conduct right now for our 12,000 advisors across the country has as its first hallmark the priority of the client's interests. So that's there. And people are held accountable to that. You're called into litigation, you're subject to that code in court.
But let me ask you a question. We have $18 billion approximately in fees that go to mutual funds, trailers, and fees to the companies in Canada each year. We have a high average management expense ratio of about 2.25% on equity funds in Canada, and we have a substantial amount of those funds, like any country around the world, that underperform a passive benchmark. At the same time, we have a healthy ETF industry that has products at 10 to 20 to 30 basis points. If that's correct, that the first obligation is to the consumer, why wouldn't you then codify that into a fiduciary obligation and really make someone demonstrate why they would ever put an actively managed fund at 2.25%, 2.5% MER in place when it does a similar job perhaps to a much lower cost fund?
Isn't that micromanaging? Wouldn't
yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be, and that's part of the problem. You actually need a spectrum of advice out there and a spectrum of protection, if you want, for the various types of consumers that exist out there. You know, some people really do want to direct where their investments will go, and we'll give individuals advice. You should not go in that direction for whatever reason in a particular case, but they'll insist, no, that's what I want to do. This is the time to buy gold. I want to buy gold now, but I don't think that's in your best interest. I don't care. This is what I want to do. Under a statutory duty, you couldn't even execute that order. So that's part of the challenge, and so we need that range of care, if you want, for the various clients out there. Back to ETFs for a second. Different product altogether. Changes on the secondary market, not like the mutual fund. Again, that's going to be appropriate for some clients. No reason that some people should not be buying and selling ETFs.
Greg, thank you very much for joining us.
You're quite welcome. All right.
Greg Pollock, President and CEO of Advocis. And up next,